So this is a new tutorial, and it's regarding rendering for the bouncing ball animation. So here's some renders, and then next one, 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 and there. So as you can see, it's I think it's nice vibrant colors. The background is white, but not so white that everything gets blown out, right? So I think it's just the right shade of white. And you know, there's motion blur as well, right? And each render is about 14 seconds. That's using GPU rendering. The GPU that I am using, it's the RTX 3090. So that's the kind of speed you could expect from 3090. Even faster for the newest generation graphics card, and even faster if you have dual graphics cards. So yeah, don't expect these kind of speeds if you're rendering off of the just the CPU, right? CPU is gonna take a lot longer. Anyway, I'm gonna close that out. Just a quick overview. Be making a sky dome light. Be making a area light, and I'll explain why. And it will also be learning about the Arnold composite node, where what allows the composite node to do is to double up on two different nodes. So the ambient occlusion as well as the texture node. So I'm gonna talk about that. I'm gonna show how to do that, explain the before and after, you know what I mean? So I'm gonna close that. I'm gonna close this. And here we are. And this is the Word document with the important notes, right? More or less. Blah, 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 blah. All right, so let's begin. Okay, so one of the first things I want to mention is, for those in my classroom that are watching this, you want to open your Word document, and you want the Word document set to view. You want to set it to view. Just trust me, you want to set it to view. There's a reason why. It's under View, Web Layout. Web Layout. If you set it to Print Layout, it does this annoying setup. That's the reason why you want Web. So don't be lazy. Set it to this. Alright. First thing I want to do is render settings, the common tab. So if you don't have your things up normal, right? And just go to Windows, Workspace, Reset General. Do this if things are just completely out of whack. So I want to set my menu to rendering for now, right? I don't have it here, but you just want to set to rendering. I'm going to click on my little clapper with the gearbox icon, right? Render settings, common tab. You want to name it. I wrote here, your file name will vary, right, depending on which exercise you're doing, right? And the naming convention that I said to do it for each particular animation exercise, but whatever. So you type in here ball render extension something. Don't type this in. I'm just giving an example. I can't think of something, so I just put that. So you'll see here it changes, right? This tells us the file name, and I'll talk about this, the numbers, and I'll talk about the extension, right? So this is starts at 0, ends at 60. So I'm just showing that right now. You want the image format, you want to set to TIFF. Originally it's going to be set to EXR, but you want to set to TIFF. Next, you want to go to your this one here, frame animation extension. Default, I believe, is set to this. I think is default. I think. Anyhow, you want to set to name, number, or hashtag, and extension. So what this means, which is important to know, is that if you look here, name, the number of the sequence, which is 0, the first one, and then TIFF is extension, EXT. And the last frame, again, is frame 60. Well, over here I put 60. Again, yours will vary, right? I put here yours will vary, starts at 0, and you know, one of the exercises that I was rendering out, it ended at 50, so I put 50, right? So don't go on autopilot and just start dumping in these numbers. It will all vary. I have to say that as a disclaimer, because you just never know. This one here ends at 45, right? Bop, 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 bop. So I'm gonna give it like 5 frames of padding, right? Even though it's gonna be the same exact image. I could end it here if I want, and then go into Premiere or whatever editing software, and you could do just duplicate the last frame, right? But for me, I'm gonna just extend it out to 50 because I'm lazy and I don't wanna go through Premiere or After Effects to set it up. That's why I just put 50. And then after that, your renderable cameras, I just chose perspective. And then set your image size. This is absolutely critical. HD 1080, right? Set it to HD 1080. Okay. All right. And that's that, all of that. All right, so I'm gonna close this. And then from there, I'm gonna make an extra camera to work with, because I'm gonna use my perspective to render it out, right? I'm gonna just smash this down for now, right? And like again, the way I did it was pulling on this right there, yank it down. So I'm gonna make an extra camera. Go to any one of the viewports, like this one, and then it's panels, perspective, new, panels, perspective, new. It says here perspective 1. So I did that. Sole purpose is so that I can work from here, you know, but use my perspective to set up the shot composition for renders. All right, so I did that. I'm gonna select it, and I'm gonna put a one second. So every time I finish something, I'm gonna put a strike through. So I made the camera, and now I want to double check to see if the GPU rendering is set on. So I'm gonna go back to the render settings, right? Again, that's the clapper and the gearbox. I'm gonna go to System tab, third tab, make sure it's set to GPU, right? Make sure to have this checked on. Enable manual device selection. Make sure this is highlighted, okay? And that's it. Okay. So one of the first things I'm going to do is I need to create an AI sky dome light, and I need to make these adjustments to the sky dome light. All right. So first, I'm going to make a sky dome light. Our node, lights, sky dome light. Pop. Sky dome light. Sky dome light. Okay. Alright, so did that. I crossed it out. But before I even dial these settings in, I want to do a test render. I'm gonna click on the render view, right, against that one. And then I'm going to press Control U to fire off a render. Again, I repeat, that is Control U. So this is what it looks like. It renders a perspective shape, meaning the perspective camera. Okay, so it's a start, right? It's kind of dim, but you can see the shadows, right? You can see the wall. I'm gonna close it for now so you can just see the initial render. And I did that. Before I also dial in these settings, I want to set up a shot composition. Right, set up a shot composition for your animation exercise. Use your original perspective camera. So here's perspective 1, where I'm going to be doing the work. And I'm going to just render, right, render it from the perspective camera. So perspective, right. I want to set up the resolution gate, and I want to set up the gate mask, which is over here. This one and this one. So this one right here, resolution gate, gate mask, okay. This one is this animation is the one with the lateral movement, like pop, 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 okay, pop, pop, pop. Since with this main exercise was about adding on the lateral movement, I'm gonna set up the camera so it strengthens that type of animation. Boom, boom. So, boom, boom, boom. I like how I got the foreground over here. Alright, I think I want something like that. And bing, bing, bop. Bing, bing, bop. Let's play it. Alt V as in Victor. Bop, bop, bop. I like that. Maybe I'll make it more dynamic. Okay, I like that a lot. Reason why I like this shot a lot is because it ends where the ball settles very close, right? But at the same time, I have this much clearance, and I have this much clearance between the sides, right? And then when it begins, it starts with this much clearance, right? And at the highest point, it goes way up to here, right? But it's not clipping, and it's not way too close to the ceiling either, so that's good. So I look for this kind of stuff. Pop. The impact is here, impact is here, impact is here. So it clearly shows the lateral movement, right? It clearly shows perspective, right? So that's the reason why. So I'm happy with this shot composition. I'm going to now lock it. Also lock the camera once you're satisfied. So that one is this guy right here, which I showed here. I'm happy with this. Okay, so one thing I want to mention is that if your cylindrical wall, right? If your infinity wall, if you end up seeing your infinity wall, right? Because right now, I don't, it's not peeking through, but if it does for your render, right? If it does show the cutoff point for your render, you need to go in and then make sure that you can access your cylindrical wall, right? By unchecking R for reference. You select the wall, you right click, go to edge mode. Okay, you select the wall, and then you right click, go to edge mode. You double click the edge, and then you do shift right click, extrude edge, and I hit the space bar, right? And then just press W, and then you just make it a little bit taller, right? In case if your ceiling is shorter, right? Your render setup, your composition setup is, if your composition setup shows it, then you want to do that. For example, if your shot was let me first save a bookmark. So I just saved the bookmark, which is this one. Right, so if your shot, I want to unlock the camera. If your shot is like, say, I don't know, something like this, right? And you see this. This is something you don't want. It's a real eyesore. Okay. Reason why it's an eyesore is if I do a render, Control U. See, this is a eyesore. I really don't like this. This looks like garbage. So you want to avoid this. Okay. So if that happens, like I said, double click it, shift right click, extrude edge, press W, and then extrude up. Okay, so it covers. Make sure if you see clipping, make sure to do that. If you don't, it's just gonna look not nice and unprofessional. That's the reason why. All right, just take the time to do it. So I explain myself. All right, and let me go back here. Go back to my bookmark. I'm gonna lock it, so I'm good. Alright, so I'm happy with that. I'm gonna go here, strike it through. Now I'm gonna go back to here. I'm gonna pull up my render view. I'm gonna do Control U to do a render. Alright, so this is that. I'm gonna save a camera snapshot so you can see before. I'm gonna select this, and here I'm gonna write down before any tuning for the sky dome. You don't have to do this if you don't want. I'm just doing it so you can see that, you know, you could put little notes here, right? But you have to select the thumbnail and then you write in your notes. Just a reminder, I've shown this before and I'm showing it again because it's a good thing to know and remember about. Anyway, so I saved a snapshot. Always save a snapshot for your before and after. If you don't do this before and after, then what's the whole point? Oh, also I turn off the IPR. Right, I just turn it off. It's been crashing lately when I make adjustments using the IPR, so I kind of don't trust it for now. I'm gonna select my sky dome light. I'm gonna press Ctrl A. Here we are. First thing you want to do is the exposure, right? I'm gonna set to 0.85. Okay, that's the settings I put in because I've done it before previously. I'm gonna show what it looks like. Right, again, that was with the sky dome light having its exposure set to 0.85. Right, I don't mess with the intensity, right? At least for this specific tutorial, I did not mess with the intensity, just the exposure. Control U. So that was huge difference. Save it. By the way, I want to talk about the shader for the ball, right? So the shader for the ball, okay. The shader for the ball, just in case, right, this is what I have. Basically, the base is, the weight is at 1, diffuse roughness, metalness, all at 0. The color is plugged in to the texture, okay, so that's what that is. Specular, the weight is at 0.9, the roughness is at 0.3. Chances are this is what you have when I save the ball rig onto the classroom folder, right? But just in case, I want to mention it in case yours is different. As well as the infinity wall, right, which is this wall, cylindrical wall. Its settings, right, I have the base at 1, I have the color at the like 0.532 or something like that, okay, and I have the specular weight at 0, 0, 0, and 0. So that's for the ball. I'm just mentioning all these just in case, for whatever reason, if your shader looks slightly different or moderately different, you know, which will result where yours may not look like this, right? Yours may look slightly different also because of your monitor and how the colors and not exposure, but the colors and contrast, it's the way it's tuned. So yours might look a little bit brighter, a little bit darker, a little bit more saturated, a little bit more desaturated. I don't know. I'm just saying that it might look slightly different because of the monitor as well. Alright, I'm gonna close that. Back to this. So I set the exposure to 0.85. You want your oh wait, not that one. Right here we are. You want your samples, this is your shadow samples from the sky dome, set it to 2. And I'm not going to do a render because it will barely show anything noticeable, but in general you want to set it to 2, not more than 2, because it'll make the basically the shadows less noisy or muddy, right? And it also has some other attributes for the render. So just set it to 2. And that's it. This is on by default, right? This guy right here illuminates by default. This is basically your on and off switch for your light, having it on or off. Just make sure this is on. You just never know. And that's it for that. Okay. Maybe I deleted this. Alright, next. I need to set up an area light. Okay. If you see this, basically shading, backface culling. Right. Now what I want to do is go to Arnold, Lights, Area Light. Right. Here it is. Press E as in Edward, E as in Edward, hold J as in Jacob. I repeat, hold J as in Jacob key, and then I'm going to carefully look at my axes. I'm going to pull on the red axes. Bop, 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 bop. Perfectly flat. Press W. If you look at the channel box, this should say -90. Press F to frame and focus onto that. Make sure it is selected. I'm going to name it top down. Right, top down. I'm going to press R as in Robert, and I'm going to just pull on the center cube, which will make it uniformly scaled. Press W for the move tool, yank this up. You see this line right here? This tells me its aim and which way it is aiming at. So about 50, right? 50 units is what you want. I'm gonna lift it up, maybe pull it down up to here, maybe, or maybe around here. I'm gonna make sure how high it goes. Boom, boom, boom. I want to make sure to move this so that it encompasses. Right? See this? So I'm gonna chuck it over like that. This much. If I go to the beginning, frame 0, this much space. At the end, this much space. I'll just even it out. This much space. Go to the beginning, this much space, so it's just right. Beginning at frame 0, end at here, so I kind of like that. And that's it. All I did was move it over, so it looks like that. Here to here. Yeah, we'll just scoot over a little bit more. Here and then here, so that's fine. That's fine, so we're good. The height of it, about yay high. I'm just making sure that at the highest point it does not go, you know, where the light is gonna, if the light is doing this, where you're penetrating through, you don't want that, right? You want to be above it. Maybe I'm gonna lower it a little bit lower. The closer that your air light gets to your subject, the brighter your subject's gonna illuminate. So kind of like that. Okay. All right. So I made a light, right? Here's the light. I like the size of it, right? I like that it's pointing down, right? One of the things I also need to do, right? I need to do a render test. So let's do a render test. Click on my render view, which is down here. I'm gonna press Ctrl U. Make sure you save your previous render, right? Pressing that. So this is at frame 1.